Moving on, the Middle East was uncertain trajectory is sending shockwaves through global markets with oil prices already feeling the strain. Africa and Ghana in particular are vulnerable to these disruptions. Tonight, we're joined by an expert with regional insight. We'll dive into the economic fallout, possible resolutions, and implications for Ghana's economy. Let's speak to Shepard Ali. He is National Affairs and Economic Development Analyst. He joins us via Zoom. Hi, Shepard.
You and your listeners, how are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing?
Yes, what's the effect of this, the anticipated effect of the war is going to have on the global economy and how bad it's going to be?
Okay. Thank you very much once again to your listeners. This immediate economic danger that we are all seeing is something that we should all kind of take a very critical look at. The Iran and the US-Israel conflict is not only the fighting itself, but it's going to send shock waves across the energy markets, shipping routes, inflation, and other investor confidences, which when get affected will have rising cost prices, right? And this is some of the challenges that will end up hitting the global economy. So if you can see, we are already hearing news of increase in oil prices, which now we are talking about the Brent crude oil over $100. And the International Energy Agency has already warned that is one of the greatest disruption in the oil market history. And the IMF also has warned, the director, Kristalina Georgievani, has already warned that there's going to be an expected 0.4 percentage point increase in the global inflation. So it means that we should be expecting prices increase. And you can see that Ghana has already even mentioned that there's going to be some supposed increase in fuel coming Monday, because the shipping route, which is the Strait of Hormuz, where most of this oil passes through, is now not a place that you can route any oil, and this is also affecting the state. And we have inflation and interest rate cuts, which could also go a long way, because now they cannot increase. We should be expecting the interest rates and then to be going up. So it's not going to be an easy thing for the world, for the global economy. It's going to be very, very challenging. And it's also going to equally have a great impact on African countries, right? Most of the African countries, like Nigeria, who already produce oil, maybe they might have some advantage here because they might end up being able to increase their fuel prices. But for some of the countries that are heavily dependent on oil, on the importation of oil, yes, there's going to be a hit on their economy. You should expect some food inflation. You should expect some prices going up of the daily necessities that people will need to survive. We will see a global increase, and this will also have an impact on Ghana as well, right? Because you see that Ghana reported very good macroeconomic numbers, as we listened during the State of the Nation address by His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama.
Right.
The numbers were looking good, but now the question will be whether we can be able to have that ease with all the tension and the fuel prices that are increasing. Will we be able to manage these shocks? And if our prices, we can control them, if we can maintain them, if we can maintain the exchange rates. These are all things that Ghana now will have to look at. Other than that, we'll see a reverse of what we are expecting based on the president's address, that the economy is looking good. If this is not managed very well, it will put us in a reverse state. Not because maybe the economy, the country is mismanaging stuff, but just because of the global increase in prices that will be imported into the economy.
Okay. Now you're in Czech Republic. How's the government taking this? Briefly.
In Czech Republic, there are meetings going on, and the government is taking initiative to ensure that the war is not also transferred into the European borders, because they are part of NATO, and then they are doing everything possible to make sure that Europe will not get into the war. But that is something that we are all hopeful that it will not happen. But there is a potential if this thing is not stopped and it goes on.
Okay. The war is likely to increase food insecurity across, Africa especially. How will international bodies help us in this time?
Yeah, the international body, the food, like there's going to be the food inflation I'm talking about. You see, we have Norway, which is there's a fertilizer producing company in Norway, which is one of the greatest companies which produce fertilizer on a very higher scale. And most of the products that is used to produce this fertilizer is also coming from the Middle East, right? So now we are going to have shortage in the fertilizer. We are going to have increase in the prices of fertilizer, and they've already mentioned that if this continues, they are going to have higher prices, right? If they have higher prices, then it means that we should expect some food shortages. Should we be looking at the farming? No, we don't know. So there are a lot of uncertainties, and the questions that now we should be asked is, if this war continues, if this conflict continues, are we able to our economy resilient enough to be able to manage the shocks, right? Because that is the most important thing. And this war is a test to Ghana and other African countries to make contingency plans for situations like this, so that when things like this happen, we will be able to sustain, the economy. And this is the test now. Now, it's an open book now. We are now going to see, like the IMF mentioned, we are now going to see how Ghana and other African countries can handle this shock.
Yes.
And it's going to be a tough time, and I believe we should all just hope that we can manage.
Okay. Now, briefly tell us how the government across, African countries can help cushion the effect of this war.
I think what Africa can do to help cushion this effect is, one, to target the areas which will be affected. Those who are in the middle income, who will be buying, are mostly the people who will be hit because of the food inflation that we are expecting. Prices of food may go up. You see, fuel prices may start going up, and then once transportation goes up, you expect other needed stuff to also go up. So it means that the middle income people will now be suffering. So the government will now have to target those will be directly impacted by this crisis and give them the necessary support and give them the necessary relief.
Okay.
And one thing that is eminent that they don't want to do is to talk clearly to the Western people, because they are not going to do anything for us, but we have to talk to them and let them understand that this war has to stop. There should be a dialogue. But this is what African countries are not voicing out. But we not voicing out is going to be the problem, because now, if the Western want us to do something and we refuse to do, should we be expecting them to evade us? And this is what is happening. It has happened to Venezuela,
right.
It has happened to Nigeria, and now it's happened to Iran. So if you refuse what they want you to say, what they want you to do, will they evade you? And if yes, then means that we have to now speak to this issue now, so that there will be a global discourse to make sure that you cannot just evade the sovereignty of another country. It is a no. And this is what the crucial issue that needs to be discussed and to be handled by all African countries and taken seriously.
Okay, thank you so much for speaking to us, Shepherd. Shepherd Ali is National Affairs and Economic Development Analyst.